The depletion of a common resource, that is, a resource which is diminishable but non-excludable, is widely known as the tragedy of the commons. The term was first coined by the ecologist Garrett Hardin in a 1968 article for the journal Science. An example might be the fishing industry. A fishing industry can be sustainable, but it will tend to engage in overfishing, that is, to deplete the fishing stock until ultimately there are no fish in the theoretical extremity. Why is that? Because fishing businesses only face their own private costs of fishing, not the full cost of their own activities. They don't face the cost they impose on others who have free access to the resource as well. Those external costs, so to speak, are the higher cost of finding fish imposed on all fishing businesses and the costs associated with ecological breakdown, which is ultimately borne by all people in the long term. In pursuit of their self-interest, the fishing businesses ignore these external costs and so tend to overuse the resource. The same story goes for all common resources. Indeed, it is widely argued or presumed that the same basic logic can be applied to any common resource of value, such as wildlife, arable land, the sea, the air, and so on. It's also argued by many economists that the solution to this problem is to privatise common resources, that is, assign private property rights to them, and allow private agents to bid for those resources. When a business owns the now private resource, it will experience and account for all of the costs of utilising it, and so will not overuse it. Colloquially, it could be said that it is not in the business's interest to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Now, that's a nice story. But maybe it's just a story, a parable, a fiction. In reality, the story might go more like this. A government privatises its golden goose. A multinational company buys the goose and compels it to lay eggs to the point of exhaustion. Yes, the goose ultimately dies, but that goose did lay a large number of eggs in a much shorter time frame than if it had been treated well and kept alive. The shareholders are happy because it means higher returns for now than otherwise would be the case. Now, it's true that there are no more golden eggs being laid by this now dead goose. But the company can simply move on to the next underdeveloped country, set up an independent think tank, engage lobbying companies, and establish AstroTurf grassroots campaigns so that the government of this new country privatises its golden goose and sells it to the company, which it then exploits till the point of death and moves on, and so on and so forth. Everyone's happy. Company executives, the company's shareholders, the government which has sold the golden goose, hopefully for a large return. The only people who really lose out here, well, one is the golden goose, the previously common resource, and perhaps the people who played no part in the benefits which were drawn from the exploitation of the golden goose, but nonetheless, at least notionally, as citizens of the country, in fact owned it in the first place.